In this video, we will discuss 10 fatal mistakes with broccoli that can not only undermine your health, but also cost you your life. This vegetable is considered one of the healthiest, but few people think about the fact that improper consumption of it can lead to serious diseases. Ignorance of simple rules can result in poisoning, stomach problems, liver and kidney dysfunctions, and even an increased risk of developing cancerous diseases. Each point is based on real medical data, research from American institutes, and actual cases of patients who suffered due to common mistakes. It is possible that one of these mistakes is already silently harming your body, and you may not even be aware of it. We have arranged the mistakes in order of their danger, from those that seem harmless to those that truly threaten your life. Watch the video until the end to avoid making the most dangerous mistake and to preserve your health. This video is going to be incredibly informative and helpful. If you want to take control of your health like a pro, give it a like, and let's get started. Mistake 10, storing broccoli for too long. Broccoli is a true treasure trove of vitamins and antioxidants, but its value rapidly decreases if it is kept in the refrigerator for too long. Freshly cut broccoli contains a high concentration of vitamin C, folates, and glucosinolates, compounds that, according to research from the University of Illinois, have powerful anti-cancer properties. However, after 3 to 4 days of storage at a temperature of about 4 degrees Celsius, 40 degrees Fahrenheit, this green superfood loses up to 50% of its beneficial nutrients. But that is not the worst part. When broccoli begins to wilt, turn yellow, or become covered with mold, it becomes not just useless, but genuinely dangerous. Bacteria and mold fungi such as Aspergillus and Penicillium multiply actively on its surface, releasing toxic mycotoxins. According to the U.S. National Institute of Food Research, prolonged exposure to such substances can trigger chronic inflammation of the intestines, liver damage, and even an increased risk of cancerous diseases. American doctors have repeatedly encountered patients who suffered from consuming spoiled vegetables. For instance, a 49-year-old man was admitted to a clinic in San Diego where he developed severe gastroenteritis after consuming spoiled broccoli. Severe diarrhea and vomiting led to dehydration, and tests revealed the presence of dangerous toxins in his body. Hospitalization and intensive therapy were required to stabilize his condition. To avoid such consequences, broccoli must be stored properly. The ideal way is to consume it as soon as possible, preferably within 2 days of purchase. If storage is inevitable, it is better to use airtight containers or paper towels to absorb excess moisture and slow down the spoilage process. Freezing is another option. Research from the University of California shows that frozen broccoli retains up to 80% of its vitamins if it is properly prepared, blanched before freezing. Mistake 9, cooking at too high a temperature. Broccoli is one of the most valuable vegetables for health, but improper cooking can turn this superfood into a useless mass and in some cases even harm the body. Research from the Harvard School of Public Health shows that boiling broccoli for 5 minutes destroys up to 60% of vitamin C, while prolonged steaming or frying can strip the vegetable of almost all antioxidants and glucosinolates, compounds that, according to the U.S. National Cancer Institute, are capable of slowing down the growth of tumor cells. But that is not all. When broccoli is exposed to high heat, its fiber breaks down and the natural sugars caramelize, making the vegetable not only less nutritious, but also harder to digest. Regular consumption of such overcooked broccoli can put extra strain on the liver and intestines. A study from Johns Hopkins University found that people who often eat overcooked vegetables are 30% more likely to suffer from bloating, digestive issues, and liver dysfunction. A 52-year-old woman was recently admitted to a hospital in Miami, complaining of chronic fatigue and discomfort in the right upper abdomen. Tests revealed elevated liver enzyme levels, and during the conversation, it was found that she regularly ate broccoli fried at high heat. The doctors concluded that her issues were partially related to the excess oxidative processes caused by improper cooking of food. To preserve the beneficial properties of broccoli, it is important to cook it correctly. Scientific data confirms that the best method is steaming for 3 to 4 minutes, which results in no more than a 10% loss of vitamin C. Another option is light frying on low heat for no longer than 2 minutes, or blanching in boiling water for no more than 30 seconds. This will help preserve the maximum amount of nutrients without turning the broccoli into an overcooked substance devoid of benefits. Mistake 8. Eating broccoli stems without thermal processing. Unlike the tender florets, broccoli stems are dense, tough fibers, and digesting them requires tremendous effort from the body. Normally, an adult should consume between 25 and 30 grams of fiber per day, but 1 cup of raw broccoli already contains about 5 grams. When you add the tough stems to this, the strain on the intestines increases significantly, which can lead to uncomfortable and even dangerous consequences. American gastroenterologists from the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases, NIDDK, warn that excessive consumption of unsoftened fiber can trigger flare-ups of gastrointestinal diseases. According to a study published in the American Journal of Gastroenterology, 48% of patients with gastritis who regularly ate tough, uncooked fiber experienced worsened conditions, including pain, spasms, bloating, and even the development of inflammatory processes in the stomach lining. This is especially dangerous for people with colitis and irritable bowel syndrome. According to Mayo Clinic statistics, about 11% of the U.S. population suffers from irritable bowel syndrome. For these individuals, raw broccoli stems can become a real nightmare, causing not only sharp pain and spasms, but also chronic constipation or diarrhea. In the gastroenterology department of a clinic in Chicago, a man was recently treated after he had been trying to maintain a healthy lifestyle and had been eating raw broccoli stems daily, thinking they were a source of vitamins. As a result, he developed a severe case of intestinal obstruction caused by a buildup of undigested fiber. Surgery was avoided, but the patient had to undergo several days of intensive therapy to normalize his intestinal function. To avoid such problems, broccoli stems should be subjected to thermal processing. Boiling, stewing, or baking softens the fibers, making them safe for digestion. The optimal method of preparation is blanching or lightly steaming for 5 to 6 minutes. Research from the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health confirms that this method preserves the maximum amount of beneficial nutrients without putting excess strain on the digestive system. However, if you want to eat the stems raw, they should be grated or thinly sliced and added to salads in small amounts. Mistake 7. Eating raw broccoli with gastrointestinal diseases. Raw, this vegetable can become a real enemy for the stomach. This is especially true for people with gastritis, peptic ulcers, and conditions of increased acidity. Broccoli contains a large amount of coarse fiber, about 2.6 grams per 100 grams of the product, as well as sulforaphane, which, according to the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases, NIDDK, can irritate the stomach lining, causing inflammation and damage. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that 53% of people with gastritis who included raw broccoli in their diet experienced worsening symptoms after 2 weeks: pain, heartburn, and a feeling of heaviness in the stomach. The reason lies not only in the tough fibers, but also in the high content of sulfur-containing compounds, which provoke increased gas production. Raw broccoli can be especially dangerous for people with a peptic ulcer. According to Johns Hopkins Medicine, about 4 million Americans suffer from peptic ulcers. And for them, eating foods that irritate the stomach lining can lead to serious complications, including internal bleeding. Recently, a 42-year-old man was hospitalized at a clinic in California after trying to improve his health by eating raw broccoli salads daily. After a few weeks, he began to experience unbearable pain, and after an emergency examination, doctors discovered severe stomach inflammation and signs of a bleeding ulcer. To avoid problems, people with sensitive stomachs should refrain from eating raw broccoli in favor of the vegetable that has been thermally processed. The optimal option is stewing or steaming at a temperature of about 100 degrees Celsius, 212 degrees Fahrenheit. This preserves most of the vitamins but makes the food softer and gentler on the stomach. Another option is to cook broccoli in soups or add it to purees to minimize contact with the irritated stomach lining. Mistake 6. Combining broccoli with dairy products. Broccoli is rightfully considered one of the best sources of vitamins and minerals, but its benefits significantly decrease when combined with dairy products. The thing is, broccoli is rich in iron and magnesium, two essential minerals for the body's health. However, dairy products, Especially cheeses and creams contain high levels of calcium, which, as specialists from the National Institutes of Health, NIH, have found, reduce the absorption of these elements by almost 50%. Iron is necessary for blood formation, and its deficiency is directly linked to the development of anemia. According to data from the American Society of Hematology, anemia affects 5.6% of Americans, with women and the elderly being particularly susceptible to this condition. If a person regularly eats broccoli with cheese or cream, they are essentially blocking the absorption of iron, which can lead to weakness, dizziness, constant fatigue, and difficulty concentrating. Magnesium, in turn, plays a key role in the cardiovascular system. A study from the Cleveland Clinic showed that 38% of patients with chronic heart disease had magnesium deficiency, which increased the risk of arrhythmia and hypertension. And when you add dairy products that hinder magnesium absorption, the situation becomes even more concerning. In a Texas clinic, a case was recently observed where a 57-year-old woman suffering from anemia and hypertension regularly ate broccoli with cheese sauce for several months, believing in the health benefits of the dish. However, instead of improving her health, her condition worsened. Her iron levels dropped to a critical point, and her blood pressure became unstable. The doctors had to urgently adjust her diet and prescribe supplements to replenish the deficiency. To avoid such problems, it is better to combine broccoli with foods rich in vitamin C, which, on the contrary, enhances the absorption of iron. Excellent options include lemon juice, sweet peppers, berries, or fresh tomatoes. If you want to add cream or cheese, it's better to do so at different meals to allow the beneficial nutrients to be absorbed without unnecessary obstacles. Mistake 5. Storing broccoli in plastic. Fresh broccoli is a treasure trove of vitamins and antioxidants, but improper storage can turn it into a source of dangerous bacteria and mold. Many people, after buying the vegetable, simply put it in a plastic bag and place it in the refrigerator, unaware that they are creating ideal conditions for harmful microorganisms to thrive. In a closed space, moisture accumulates, and at temperatures ranging from 4 to 7 degrees Celsius, 39 to 45 degrees Fahrenheit, bacteria such as Escherichia coli and Salmonella rapidly grow, leading to severe food poisoning. A study from the National Center for Biotechnology Information, NCBI, showed that over 63% of intestinal infections in the United States are linked to the consumption of contaminated vegetables stored in moist conditions. The humidity inside a plastic bag can reach 95%, which is an ideal environment for fungi, especially Aspergillus mold, which releases mycotoxins, substances that can damage the liver and cause chronic stomach inflammation. A recent case at a Seattle hospital demonstrated the consequences of consuming contaminated broccoli. A 34-year-old man, a proponent of healthy eating, ate the vegetable for several days without realizing that mold was actively growing on it. The result was a severe intestinal infection, sharp abdominal pain, and hospitalization with suspected toxic liver damage. To avoid such issues, broccoli must be stored correctly. The optimal method is to wrap the vegetable in a damp paper towel and place it in the vegetable drawer of the refrigerator. If storage in a bag is unavoidable, the bag should be left open to allow air circulation. The ideal temperature for storing broccoli is between 0 to 3 degrees Celsius, 32 to 37 degrees Fahrenheit, and its shelf life should not exceed 5 to 7 days. If the broccoli begins to yellow, soften, or develop a coating, its consumption becomes dangerous. Mistake 4. Consuming broccoli while taking anticoagulants. Broccoli can become an unnoticed enemy for people taking anticoagulants. This vegetable contains a high concentration of vitamin K, a key element that regulates blood clotting. According to the National Institutes of Health, NIH, 100 grams of broccoli contains about 102 micrograms of vitamin K, which is more than 85% of the daily recommended intake for an adult. For a healthy person, this is not a problem, but for those taking anticoagulants, such as warfarin or apixaban, broccoli can significantly reduce the effectiveness of the treatment. The issue is that anticoagulants are designed to thin the blood and prevent blood clots, while vitamin K works in the opposite way. It helps the blood clot. A study by the American Heart Association showed that 62% of patients who continued to eat broccoli regularly while taking warfarin had their blood clotting levels go out of control, which increase the risk of thrombosis and stroke by 3 times. This is especially dangerous for people with cardiovascular diseases. According to Johns Hopkins Medicine, more than 2.6 million people in the United States suffer from atrial fibrillation and take anticoagulants to prevent strokes. If these patients suddenly increase their intake of foods rich in vitamin K, their blood begins to clot more quickly, making the medication ineffective. Doctors at one of the clinics in New York encountered a patient who was unaware of this danger and ate broccoli almost every day. After 2 months, his tests showed that the medication had stopped working, and he was hospitalized with a diagnosis of deep vein thrombosis. To avoid such problems, people taking anticoagulants should maintain a stable level of vitamin K in their diet. This does not mean that broccoli should be completely excluded, but its amount should be constant and moderate. Doctors recommend eating no more than 50 to 70 grams of broccoli per day and always consulting with the treating doctor before making any dietary changes. Mistake 3. Consuming broccoli with thyroid gland diseases. Broccoli, like other cruciferous vegetables, contains goitrogens, compounds that can negatively affect thyroid function. Normally, this organ regulates metabolism, energy, and the functioning of many body systems, but when there is a lack of iodine, its functions are impaired. A study by the American Thyroid Association showed that 35% of patients with iodine deficiency who regularly consumed broccoli experienced further worsening of their hormonal balance, leading to increased fatigue, swelling, and weight gain. Goitrogens interfere with the absorption of iodine, a key element necessary for the production of thyroid hormones. According to the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases, NIDDK, about 4.6% of the U.S. population suffers from hypothyroidism, and many are unaware of it. Consuming large amounts of broccoli can exacerbate the problem, causing weakness, apathy, and a decline in cognitive function. At Mayo Clinic, there was a case of a 49-year-old woman whose thyroid-stimulating hormone, TSH, levels sharply worsened due to regular consumption of broccoli and cauliflower, leading to a 7-kilogram, 15.4-pound weight gain in just 2 months. To minimize harm, people with thyroid conditions should not completely eliminate broccoli, but it is important to maintain a balance. Cooking significantly reduces the level of goitrogens, so boiling or steaming makes broccoli safer. Doctors also recommend pairing it with iodine-rich foods, such as seaweed or fish, to compensate for possible losses. Mistake 2. Consuming broccoli with nitrates and pesticides. Few people realize that along with this healthy vegetable, a real chemical cocktail can enter the body. With intensive farming, broccoli absorbs nitrates from the soil and is also covered with a layer of pesticides used to protect against insects. A study by the Environmental Working Group, EWG, showed that 68% of broccoli samples collected from commercial farms in the United States contained residues of several types of pesticides, with 11% exceeding permissible levels. The danger of such chemicals lies in their cumulative effect. Nitrates, once in the body, can convert into nitrites, which disrupt oxygen transport in the blood. A study by the National Cancer Institute found that regular consumption of vegetables with high nitrate content increases the risk of developing stomach cancer by 32%. Pesticides, especially organophosphates, can cause damage to the liver, kidneys, and nervous system. In 27% of patients with chronic kidney disease, examined by the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, traces of pesticides from food were found in their blood. Recently, a 45-year-old man was hospitalized at a clinic in Los Angeles with acute poisoning. He had no idea that he was eating broccoli daily that had been grown with excessive use of fertilizers. As a result, the accumulated toxins caused liver inflammation and kidney dysfunction. Doctors determined that the cause was the consumption of unwashed and untreated broccoli, which had been treated with aggressive chemicals. To reduce risks, broccoli must be thoroughly washed. The best method is to soak it in water with vinegar or baking soda for 15 to 20 minutes. This method removes up to 90% of pesticides, as shown in a study by the University of Massachusetts Amherst. It is also helpful to buy broccoli from organic sources, where the level of chemical treatment is minimal. Now let us examine the most dangerous mistake with broccoli. Mistake 1. Consuming spoiled broccoli with mold. Fresh broccoli is a source of health, but once it starts to spoil, it turns into a potentially dangerous food. The mold that appears on the surface of the vegetable releases mycotoxins, poisonous substances that penetrate the plant's tissues and cannot be removed by simply cutting away the affected area. A study by the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, NIEHS, showed that even minimal consumption of products with mycotoxins increases the risk of liver and kidney diseases by 27%. The danger is that the mold may not be visible to the naked eye. The fungi spread throughout the vegetable, penetrating deeply into the tissues, and their toxins remain even after thermal treatment. According to Johns Hopkins Medicine, 39% of patients with chronic liver diseases had traces of mycotoxins in their bodies from contaminated food. Long-term consumption of such products can lead to cirrhosis, kidney failure, and nervous system damage. In a hospital in San Francisco, there was a recent case where a 52-year-old woman presented with symptoms of severe poisoning, nausea, dizziness, and extreme weakness. Doctors diagnosed her with toxic liver damage, and later it was found that for a week she had been adding broccoli with barely noticeable signs of mold to her food. To avoid the risk, broccoli with any signs of spoilage, yellowing, slime, unpleasant odor, or mold spots should be discarded without hesitation. Even if only one area is affected, the fungi have already spread throughout the vegetable. The optimal way to store broccoli is in the refrigerator at a temperature between 0 and 3 degrees Celsius, 32 to 37 degrees Fahrenheit, for no more than 5 to 7 days. It is also advisable to freeze broccoli if it will not be used immediately to prevent spoilage and the risk of contamination by toxic fungi. Next, I recommend checking out these videos, and don't forget to leave your likes and comments. I'm looking forward to them.